Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. Now it's real time, sponsored by the Mill Casino.
Welcome back, everyone. We've got Brandon Glass from Team Hookup Guide Service, Cody Herman from Day One Outdoors here in the studio. It's great to see you, man.
Hey, man. Good to see you as
It's been way
well.
too long. You?
Couple weeks.
3 weeks, whatever it was. You started some stuff, though, man. The tech tip that he did for us when he was in was about coon shrimp and rigging. Confused some folks, but we're going to fix that today. We're also going to talk to you about how you like to set up bobber dogging. I know that this bobber dogging thing, you know, there's 100 different ways to kind of rig things and do things, and it seems like everybody's got their own take on it. So we're going to get Brandon's take on that. And if I haven't already mentioned, the interesting perspective here is that Cody spends 99% of your time in a drift boat, or all of your time?
All my time.
Oh, okay, all of his
Yeah,
time
yep.
chasing steelhead in a drift boat, and you go back and forth depending on what the conditions are.
Absolutely. You know, if we have high water, we're going to be in the sled. If we have low water, we're going to be in the drift boat.
Right. So you're always able to get out there depending on what those conditions are going to be like. What do you do when the water's high? You're still drifting.
I don't have, dude, I'm getting old. I can't row in the high water, so I
Okay.
stay home and just reschedule trips.
Really?
Yeah.
You just don't pull off to the side, drop a hook or something? And,
I can't do that. You know, as soon as it gets, we both fish the Sandy.
Yeah.
So as soon as it gets about 10, 5, 11 foot, I can't effectively fish anymore. It's just going too fast.
well, when
And
you're
that's
rowing
he
a
does
brick,
better.
when you're rowing a brick, it makes...
Oh, all right, come
that's
on.
an insert.
All right, I'm going to race you this year. When you get yours, I'm going to race you. We'll see.
I don't want you to race me. You're younger. You're probably a lot stronger, and I'm going to be already worried about going, okay, man.
I'm going to have two big dudes in the boat, though, too. You're going to have an
I
advantage.
won't have that. I'll have a dog. Maybe. Shh. Maybe have a dog. Okay, so let's start off with Brandon. Let's just start off with this year, how things are now. It's the middle of January, believe it or not, already. Have you been running any trips? And if you have been, how's the fishing been to this point? Would you say good year, bad year, start, or good start? What would you say?
So right now I'm going to say, like, we had a really good pilot run of fish.
Yeah.
You know, that's that early component. That's going to be your Thanksgiving through the first 2 weeks of December. And
Yeah.
it was pretty good. Dad had a lot of great opportunities, and the fish were large. We had like a lot of those 29 to 35 inch fish.
Interesting.
And the hatchery's already got, I think, 64 fish already into the trap that they've worked.
Okay.
And several fish were in 13, 14 pound range.
Wow.
So nice fish.
Yeah, nice fish.
The Christmas push was non-existent. So
Really
wasn't very many fish. Like, you fish all day for 8 fish.
Okay.
You know, typically by then with all this water, because the water was up at like 11, 12 feet for 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
So it should have been epic fishing.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like that component was missing, and now we're just starting to see what we call one salts.
Okay.
So the one salts are just now starting to show up. So that means I feel like the brunt of our middle of the push is now starting to show.
All right.
And so that's what we see typically in the past. When we see these little 4 to 5 pounders starting to show up.
Sure.
Now the whole run's showing up.
All right, so from here on, and this goes for pretty much all systems, but from here on, you're looking a little bit more positive as things are going forward.
Yeah, I didn't look very positive last week. It was pretty tough. I was kind of going, oh man, let's keep pushing some trips back, and we'll run one, and they're still not there. Okay, Dad, what are you doing? Oh, got one. Okay.
Yeah.
And then after these last 3 days, 4 days, I'm like, okay, here we go.
Okay.
It's finally happening.
Well, that's good to hear. That means things are starting to come around. And again, that's the time of year, right? Middle of January. We don't longer get those bigger returns, much like what he's referring to early on. This upcoming week, it's going to be low and it's going to be clear. I know that you love this, okay? So for all those folks that are going to be everywhere in these conditions, up and down the coast, inland, or wherever it is, would you say this is a good week to be on the bank, drift boating? What would your take be?
You know, that's kind of a tough question because each river fishes differently and during different water. And honestly, Brandon and I, when we fish, he does way better than I do in high water. And low water, I can do better. But it's more about the technique that you use in the water that you fish. And first, you got to be around the fish.
Sure.
But like when Brandon and I are both in the drift boat, we're fishing the exact same hole, start at the same time. There's been plenty of times. There's actually one time at YMCA, I'm back trolling my gear through the water. I'm fishing it really effectively, and he comes, and because we give each other a hard time, he casts right above me. His bobber goes underneath the back of my boat, goes under, he hooks one, and it jumps off the bow of my boat. So it really doesn't even matter, like, if you're fishing bobber dogging like he is or back trolling plugs. You just got to have what the fish want at that time. So this upcoming week, the coastal rivers are going to be a little bit tougher. I know in low clear water, typically that gets pretty hard. For our tributaries at the Clack, Sandy, and the Umpqua, me personally, lower clear the better. That's what I like. But each river fishes differently.
How do you take it this week?
East wind.
Oh yeah,
that.
So
east wind.
I've already pushed my middle of the week trips out. I'm not going to do it. So you know, the thing is that there's definitely places in the river that you can especially if you go to the other southern river, Clackamas, or Umpqua, like you had mentioned, get away from all that east wind.
Yeah.
For us, that actually we're trying to stay kind of home and local. It's really tough, right? It's really tough to only fish 2 holes all day.
Right.
The rest of the holes are blowing white caps.
Right.
So I fished the other day.
No fun.
I fished the other day. It was blowing 35 miles an hour. We still got some fish.
Yeah.
But it was so challenging to say, guys, hold on. Let's let these wind gusts go by. Then you see the river start laying down. Okay, cast.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boat moves. You're like, oh crap, you know. But open your bails, you know. So when we're talking about bobber dogging or bobber fishing, period, versus side drifting, that technique is actually better in the wind than it is side drifting. Because side drifting, you're dragging your gear
Pulling
with the
all
boat.
over. Yeah.
Here with bobbers, you can open your bail, let the boat shift, if drift boating or power boating, and then reconvene back to your gear and then pick up your slack. So
Right.
you're still fishing.
Right.
So, but we do lose a lot of fish because we have so much slack out there. So it does happen, but
Yeah.
at least we're still actively fishing.
Yeah,
So,
not just dragging your gear around because you're getting blown all over the place.
Yeah.
So, it's got to be super frustrating. Well, trust me, I already know.
fished
It's
it.
extremely,
You know,
extremely
it's not fun.
frustrating. Well, standing in it just last week in the east when I could barely cast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things that you have to overcome no matter where you are.
And like a lot of people always ask me, it says, why do you fish this way? Why is your gear set up this way? I'm like, because I don't fish the coastal rivers where I'm only casting 20, 30 feet.
Sure,
I'm
sure.
casting 60, 80 feet.
Yeah.
So my gear's a little bit differently set up than some of these coastal tribs that people will do there.
Sure.
Or upper trib fishing.
Sure.
Right? That are small, convenient, small, pockets.
Sure, sure. And we'll talk about that. We're going to have a tech tip with Brandon here in a little bit. And with you, we're going to talk about coonies behind a diver, how you like to set those up.
Yep.
Really got a lot of interest for a number of reasons. One is, it's effective, right? The steelhead love coon shrimp. We've all proven that. But rigging is definitely something that everybody's interested in. And the way that you rig, I'm very interested in. I'm going to poach it, and I'm going to use it right behind him.
Yeah.
I already told you, I'm going to have gear right underneath your boat. How you doing? How you doing? Nice to see you.
It's okay. I'll just hook one with a bobber right underneath their oars. That's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. If it jumps close enough, though, I'm netting it and keeping it. Sorry about you and your clients. But you mentioned there were some larger fish. How was the contingent of hatchery to wild, all that kind of stuff?
So far, I would say right now we're about probably 60% natives, 40% hatcheries.
Okay.
Now, yesterday was definitely more hatchery fish caught, finally, than natives. So I'm seeing that maybe we're about 50-50 now.
Sure.
The sandy, we use that name loosely, same as the Clackamas. Both these rivers have a really good wild component.
Yeah.
Right? We have a really good push. So right now, I know that the department's rewriting their HGMPs so we can find out how much more we can put in for stock.
Sure.
Because we're showing that we are having a larger return of wild components. And so I think here in the future, we might actually have a really good steelhead season for both tributaries with these new HGMPs.
Well, I love to hear that because we definitely go through a lot of high fin fish before we run across something that's clipped.
Yeah.
Which, some people say that wild, or not wild, that winter steelhead aren't the best table fare. I completely disagree. I love eating winter steelhead.
I do too.
I'm steelhead fishing in the winter. It's my favorite thing to do. Okay, so let's cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to start off with Cody. Okay. We're going to have a tech tip for you on how to set up your shrimp behind a diver. Again, without getting too sidetracked. Oh, there goes the camera. Bye. There it is. It goes without saying that when you're running diver and bait, you use these in situations where they are hatchery rivers. We're not saying to go jam a shrimp down the throat of a wild, but that's the benefit of a coonie behind a diver as opposed to a sand shrimp. They typically just destroy it and they're not swallowing it. And I think that you've caught enough of them that way, and so has a lot of others that can say the same thing. So we're going to have that when we come back from this break and get Brandon's perspective of how Cody is actually rigging them up. So back to that. We'll see how much grief they can give each other. We'll be back in just a minute.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by P-Line, Because We Fish, by Hawken Fishing, Perfection in Fishing Gear, and by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest.
Nobody enjoys the outdoors more than I do. And these are what gets me there.
Les Schwab offers a free pre-trip safety inspection. How does this help the average customer that comes in?
We call it our safety status check, and every vehicle that comes into our shop is going to get one.
Big thanks to Les Schwab for your continued support and sponsorship of Outdoor GPS, and I look forward to many years of more adventures on your tires.